Today on Inside Utah Politics, the race for Salt Lake County Mayor. Mayor Jenny Wilson is going for a full 4-year term after taking over 2 years ago, but Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs is hoping to make it a short stay. We're checking in with both candidates. Plus, as House bills pile up in the Senate, leadership from the lower chamber is trying to apply the pressure. What they're doing to get the Senate Majority Leader to vote on their bills.
Time now for Inside Utah Politics.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Glenn Mills. It is time to go inside Utah politics, and we do begin with Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson. Jenny, welcome back to the show. Good to have you.
Great, thanks. Always happy to be with you, Glenn.
This is a full 4-year term. You've been the mayor for 2 years, taking over after Representative Ben McAdams was elected to Congress. What do you think you've done over the last 2 years that leads voters that will lead to voters wanting to re-elect you again this year?
Well, thank you, Glenn. You know, it's been a challenging 2 years, especially this past year. But my team and I have risen to the occasion. Unfortunately, in March of last year, everything was turned upside down for all of us, for our families, for Salt Lake County, and for the need in this nation and community. And I'll tell you, we hustled, we got to work quickly. We created a series of interventions to combat COVID-19, and we have seen success. We've seen some times along the way, including right now, where we need additional interventions. My team's working as we speak on those interventions, and I'm incredibly proud of the work we've done. There are other things that are happening at Salt Lake County that don't really relate to COVID, and our teams are being nimble and committed, and I could not be more proud of the service Salt Lake County is providing. And you know, I know that people get frustrated with government. We see it from the top down, but there's ever a time for people to feel good about their government. It's now. We have delivered at Salt Lake County, and we will continue to deliver.
Let's dig into that a little more. Obviously, no one saw this coming, as you pointed out, and there was not a playbook, so to speak, for you and other leaders to go by. But looking back, if you say everything didn't go perfect, what are some things maybe you would have done different now having the hindsight?
Well, we at Salt Lake County came together in a different way very quickly in our unified command structure, which meant our health department director and I and our emergency management team were a united front each and every day, and that gave us the ability to act nimbly and quickly. We created quarantine and isolation operations to get people in need safely quarantined. We created and supported the state in testing, even expanding the state's efforts when we recognized there were communities in need. We created a program to distribute millions of dollars to small business and very small businesses that were impacted. We did so much well. The one thing I would like to have seen differently is a statewide requirement. I feel the pressure in my county from areas that throughout the state who do not wear masks, and that is putting some pressure on the south end of our valley right now. We're also seeing a community-based decision to open up schools. And as a mom, I get it, but we're concerned. So we want more compliance among that group of individuals, from young people. And we fear a little the spread to families. So we continue as Salt Lake County, just day by day, double down on the need.
On the statewide mandate theme, let's talk about that a little more. We have seen you and Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall really on different sides of the coin with state leadership. It appears from what we have seen to have been a cordial relationship, but do you stand by the steps that you have taken in Salt Lake County when, as you mentioned, many other counties in the state have taken a different approach?
Well, I can tell you, late June was a very dark moment for me, my team, in this county. We were seeing cases on the rise. What I did have, I'm not a health expert, but I have health experts at my side, as I mentioned. And with the support and with the commitment and their leadership, I was advised that a mask mandate would work. And I implemented a mask mandate. We saw cases fall in July. You can go to our data dashboard at saltlakecounty.org. Health and look at that dashboard and see those cases fall. And it was because we went from 60% compliance in late June to over 95% compliance. And not only that, small business was coming to me saying, wait a minute, I'm having fights at the door of my small business and I can't operate because of this discretionary issue over masks. So not only did we create stability for business, declined health, but we additionally saw consumers confident. We saw people going out more, sitting on patios and dining. And that is one of the reasons our economy is actually hanging in there in Salt Lake County. Government matters, the decisions I made matter, and I'm very, very, again, proud of the hardworking people.
We're starting to see Salt Lake asked to go back into the orange phase. Do you believe the county needs to do that as well?
Well, you know what, we support government, local government, seeing things in their communities that can be done differently. Over time, we've seen more cases in Salt Lake City. So when a mayor comes to me, Mayor Mendenhall, we said, hey, Mayor, or I said to her the other day, of course we'll advance this question up to the state for consideration.
So as far as the county is concerned, you're still comfortable with the yellow stage?
Right now we're yellow, and right now we're doubling down on every other thing we can do.
Let's talk about Olympia Hills and the broader problem there, housing affordability. You came out in favor of Olympia Hills, and there was a lot of backlash on that. Do you still stand by that, or was it right for the county to back off of that?
So I think everybody knows, especially in this state, private property owners have rights. Salt Lake County didn't wake up one day and say, hey, we want to build a development. A developer came to us with a request, and we realized we would either see sprawl or we would see a planned community. And after a lot of engagement, a lot of time, a lot of effort, we created a requirement for additional housing, affordable housing, open space. Olympia Hills is a much, much better deal due to the work of my team over the past year.
But let's talk more about high density. When we're talking about a supply and demand issue, driving up prices like we're seeing here, is high density the solution down the road? Well,
density to many is a four-letter word, and it's not. It means smart. If it's done right, you can have great town centers with vibrancy, with 2020 and beyond, good modern day living, but at the same time, you can also have you can address growth, and that's our goal. You know, growth continues to be a concern in this valley, and I want everyone to know it's a real issue. So COVID is a short-term issue into the next year, I'm afraid, but our long-term needs in this valley are growth and growth management, and we have to do it well.
And the way things are going, our kids are going to have trouble affording living here down the road.
You know, I talk to young people, my own son in college, and I think about what's around the corner. It's really, really tough. I remember my first home, my first apartment really, and how difficult it was to go to work every day and pay that rent, and then when I was a homeowner, that challenge. I get it, and we're seeing less and less developable land, and we're seeing a lot of growth, and that's leading to a housing crisis. We're not like we're similar to many areas in the nation. I've formed alliances nationally to come up with best practices. We have an amazing team at Salt Lake County that's looking for solutions. And we're actually changing the conversation with cities to make sure that when we support cities with our tax increment, we're doing it wisely and we're doing it with a goal-driven purpose.
Okay, we're running out of time, but I need to get into this. One of your opponents points against you is a tax increase. We saw that last year, 7.8 at property taxes. Do you stand by the need for that, or were there other areas you could have cut without having to do that? Because again, once you raise property taxes, that in turn raises your mortgage payment as well.
Right, well, taxes are complex certainly, and a property tax is highly complex in that the county cannot ever capture in a property tax inflation. So sooner or later, you either cut services dramatically or you end up raising taxes. The tax increase that the council supported and I proposed was supported by every independent elected that runs a division, recognizing it was a stabilizer, not new programs. It was necessary. And what I would ask is my opponent, is anyone interested in serving in government ready to make the tough calls? If you're not ready to make the tough calls to stabilize budgets, which in my case prepared us for a health crisis and also created some stability for our employees. Those decisions are necessary at certain times. I'll make tough decisions. I prioritize health. I also will prioritize a good return for every taxpayer in this county.
All right, Mayor, we are out of time, but where can voters learn more about your campaign?
WilsonForMayor.com. Please reach out. We're doing a lot digitally. It's a different campaign. It's not a door-knocking campaign, but we're out there, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yep, thanks for your time. We appreciate having you with us. Still ahead, Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs is stepping up to challenge Mayor Wilson for this position. We'll hear from him after the break. Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court starts up the fall session minus one member, how the 8-member panel is moving forward. Welcome back. We turn now to Republican challenger in the race for Salt Lake County Mayor Trent Staggs. He's here to talk about why he thinks there needs to be a change in county leadership. Trent, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Glenn.
You bet. Let's start off with background. Tell us a little bit about what you have done, your life experience, and what you feel qualifies you to be the next Salt Lake County Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up here in the southwest part of the county. I spent the entirety of my adult life here in the county, attending high school, Bingham High School, then went on to the University of Utah for my undergraduate degree, focusing studies in political science and economics, and then got my master's in business administration from Brigham Young University. And for the last 25 years or so of my professional career, I've been involved in largely 3 industries: finance, working at Morgan Stanley, and then also owning a nationwide mortgage brokerage company, other businesses, and now work as an advisor and a board member on a publicly traded company. And I think that business background is something that's really key and informs a lot of my decision making as it relates to municipal government.
And you've been serving as the mayor of Riverton the last 2 years. Why do you want to take the step to Salt Lake County?
Yeah, got involved in politics about 7 years ago. I served 4 years or a term on the city council in Riverton, and then was elected mayor in 2017. And really, it was my interaction as mayor with the county that led me to see many issues with the county. We have now, as a city, we've left 3 county-led organizations or services, and at every turn, we've actually ended up saving our residents millions of dollars, improve the level of service, and also improve the accountability and transparency.
So one of those would be Unified Police. What are the others?
That's right. There was a taxing district for the county that was the means to pay for Unified Police Department. By exiting that, our residents now save about $1.3 million a year in property tax. And the Unified Police System, led by the county, we self-provided as of a year ago, July. We got 9 more officers for the same amount that we were contracted to pay through Unified. And the animal control services, we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by engaging in more of a public-private partnership with a local vet clinic. And so seeing these experiences, it led me to look more at the budget of the county, and I saw that that budget has increased $500 million or 50% in the last 5 years. We now have, Glenn, a larger budget in Salt Lake County than Clark County, Nevada, that has twice as many people, twice as many residents to serve. And of course, my opponent has proposed a $16 million tax increase on everybody this year, and has said she would like to index property tax to inflation so they'd automatically increase every year. I think that's a terrible idea.
We'll get more into taxes in just a bit, but I want to get into some of the other big issues of the day, dominating obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to get your thoughts on how you would have handled that. Let's go back to the very beginning. Yeah. What steps would you have taken when the pandemic first started hitting here in the state of Utah?
Well, I actually wrote an opinion piece on this back in March when it first did hit, really, the state of Utah. And I think that the effort with respect to testing has been very poor and was critical of that effort. I think if we want to really get a handle on this pandemic, we need to pay attention to other countries, other areas that have exhibited what I think are best practices, like South Korea and elsewhere, where they have been able, through robust and expanded testing efforts, really put a lid on it. And unfortunately, we've not done that. I think we have a great life science and bio community here that has really inexpensive testing that we could have implemented for both symptomatic, asymptomatic people, and would have used my leadership effort at the county to do that, use CARES Act funding much more quickly and efficiently than what's been used.
Would you have enacted a shutdown?
No.
Why not?
I think that we can protect both lives and livelihoods. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Look, back then, nobody really knew. You know, none of us as elected officials went to a Pandemic 101 school, so I understand what had happened, and that was largely the response of both the federal and the state governments, so those shutdowns occurred. But I think I was a proponent of moving quickly to reopen the economy in a safe way through using best practices that we have here today. My opponent was actually championing keeping the economy shut down, she said, through at least May 30th and possibly the 4th of July.
So you would have never gone with an economic shutdown in the very beginning. Is that correct?
Well, the economic shutdown was really imposed by the federal and state agencies. I think the county, what they could do more effectively is to focus our efforts on testing the resources that we've received from the federal government.
But in Salt Lake County, they did take it further than what we saw in other counties.
Yeah, I think the efforts to stay in certain statuses for longer than what may have been needed. You saw that the county really opened back up in May, and I think that was largely in part due from pressures by the governor and residents.
Do you stand by a mask mandate? Would you enact that?
Hey, look, I think masks are great. I think that they really do protect the public health and can get the economy going again. They're a common sense measure. I think, however, even if 100% of individuals complied and used masks, we're still unfortunately going to see case counts rise and people be affected. We're seeing that right now.
So yes or no, mask mandate?
We're seeing that right now with a mask mandate. What I want to do, Glenn, is put my focus on testing. I think masks are great, but the analogy I've used is like wearing rain boots in a home that's taking on water. We need to go after the source, and that source is really those that are carrying.
Okay, so you think people should wear masks, but you would not impose a mandate.
Yeah,
is that what I'm hearing?
I would have worked much more collaboratively, I think, with city mayors and other key influencers to ensure that we put out the importance of wearing masks.
Okay, we need to get on to another very important topic real quick. That is Olympia Hills.
Sure.
I think that's what I saw kind of catapult you into this race. You took a very strong stance against that. Talk about why.
Yeah, well, there's just poor plan. It's a poor planned project, poorly planned. You have 900 acres approximately. They wanted to put about 10,000 housing units up against Butterfield Canyon. It's effectively putting that much density at the end of a cul-de-sac. And I think I'm for smart development, but we need to have infrastructure that is there.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. What is high density an answer, though, to the crisis we're facing with housing? You and I both have children who may not be able to afford to live here down the road.
Yeah, that's right. I think there is room for density. We do have a housing gap problem and an affordability problem, and I have a plan for that on my website. And I think to a large extent we should be focused in areas that are along major transportation and transit corridors for that density, not out at the furthest most edges of the county that's only going to exacerbate congestion, air pollution, you name it.
Is there anywhere in the county that you see as a suitable location for a project like Olympia Hills?
Well, we have the Point of the Mountain right now, and that 700-acre plus project is almost equal in size and getting a lot of attention these days. It's close to major transportation transit corridors, and so the county mayor has a seat at the Point of the Mountain Commission and also the Inland Port. You've got projects like that. There's a lot of other county property, however, that is along major transportation and transit corridors that I think is underutilized, and we haven't done an audit yet. We need to do that and see if we can't work with private development to improve the housing stock that we have and make a dent in the affordability.
Okay, we have about a minute left. Talk to me about some of the endorsements you're getting.
Well, it's been really great, the number of endorsements that we've been able to receive. Having served on a city council and as a mayor now, I reached out to almost every elected official in the county. I made an effort, and we have received scores of endorsements from mayors, from city council members, from the business community. I think we have about 7 city mayors and scores of city council members all throughout the valley, and to receive endorsements from other great officials statewide, such as Senator Romney and others, is, I think, it really speaks to the campaign and the need people see for reform at the county.
You mentioned people can learn more at your website. Give us that website.
Yeah, that is trentstaggs.com. If you go there, you can see all of our issues, and we've laid out a plan for each one of those with a short video.
Okay, thanks for your time, and we'll see how this unfolds. Mail-in ballots going out this week. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Still to come, a showdown is brewing in the nation's capital. How House leadership is trying to get the Senate to vote on their bills. That's coming up after the break. House Democrats say they're fed up with what they call inaction from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on taking up more COVID relief and more than 300 bipartisan House bills awaiting a vote in the Senate. Washington correspondent Morgan Wright reports on efforts to get the ball rolling by House lawmakers in the upper chamber.
The House has passed more than 340 bipartisan bills that Mitch McConnell is blocking.
Rhode Island Congressman David Cicilline says the Senate must act on pandemic relief.
We hope our Republican colleagues will finally come to the table and work with us to get it done.
Cicilline says House Democrats are searching for a solution.
Democrats are committed to getting an agreement and trying to make a good faith showing of what we think would make sense in terms of a compromise.
The House passed the HEROES Act 4 months ago and recently passed a revamped $2.2 trillion version of the bill. Pennsylvania Congressman Matt Cartwright.
How we get Senator McConnell to move on more COVID relief for this country, the answer is we don't know. We wish we did.
Even some House Republicans are calling for compromise.
But the bottom line is McConnell's got to bend, we've got to bend, the Democrats have got to bend.
New York Congressman John Katko says Congress can't fail the American people.
And I think that we need to have all sides try like heck to avoid that failure.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell maintains he'll take action once the White House and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi find common ground.
First, there must be an agreement, and there is none at the moment.
Unless the White House gets on board, the latest House bill likely won't see the light of day on the Senate floor. McConnell has indicated he won't support a bill with a $2 trillion price tag. Reporting in Washington, I'm Morgan Wright.
An 8-member U.S. Supreme Court beginning its fall term remotely during the week with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's absence. Chief Justice John Roberts noted the court placed black drapes at her seat ahead of the arguments. Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor reports on the latest efforts to confirm Ginsburg's replacement.
The court is now sitting.
The U.S. Supreme Court justices opened their first Monday mourning the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
We at the court will remember her as a dear friend and a treasured colleague.
Chief Justice John Roberts recognized Ginsburg's work during her nearly 3 decades on the bench.
She authored 483 majority, concurring, and dissenting opinions. We now turn to the business of the court.
The first case centered on whether Delaware can require its own Supreme Court to be evenly split between Democrats and Republicans. While just across the street, the partisan battle continues over the confirmation of President Trump's nominee to replace Ginsburg.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Despite the growing list of positive COVID-19 cases, Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham said Barrett's confirmation hearings in 1 week will continue as planned. Tweeting Monday, President Trump is very excited about Judge Amy Coney Barrett being confirmed to the Supreme Court.
Those who were at the White House were the ones who brought the virus back to Capitol Hill.
Democrats, like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, argue Barrett's confirmation shouldn't happen during the current healthcare crisis.
One way not to do it is to crush the Affordable Care Act, which the Senate is in the process of trying to do.
The justices will hear the ACA case next month, and Barrett's confirmation would give the court a 6-3 conservative majority. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Stay with us. We'll have more Inside Utah Politics right after the break. We leave you now with a look at what's on the radar in the world of politics. Watch for your mail-in ballot to arrive. They start going out this week. Tomorrow, the Utah Debate Commission is hosting a debate between Representative Ben McAdams and challenger Burgess Owens in the 4th District. Thursday, 3rd District candidates, Representative John Curtis and challenger Devin Thorpe, go head-to-head. You can catch both live right here on ABC4 at 6 p.m. Make sure to connect with me on social media. I'd like to know what you think of this show and other issues that are important to you. Email me at InsideUtahPolitics@abc4.com. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Just log on and search Glenn Mills ABC4. Thanks so much for making us part of your day. We hope to see you again next week as we go inside Utah politics.